I know it took us long enough for it to come to this, but it works now, so that's the good news. Let's see. Just wait for a couple people to get on here, and we will share once we get things moving. My coffee is like a little bit cold today. I have it on the warmer, but I waited too long to put it on the warmer. So it's a little chilly. Okay, getting some shares on here. See people coming on. Beautiful. Mm-hmm. Oh. Hey, everybody. I see people popping on. Perfect. So wherever you are, I hope you're having an amazing either start to your day, middle of your day, end of your day, wherever you are around the planet. Thank you so much for being here. Wow. I'm just going to say wowie wow. So I've been a little bit under the weather, so pardon my voice. And it's really just from what we're experiencing energetically. I'm not sick. I don't have anything. This is literally just getting hit by stuff and really just understanding what kind of time we're in and what it is we need to be doing with our time and how we're interacting with ourselves, with the planet, and those around us. And Kylan, you were out. I know you've shared some amazing things that you were processing and going through. And we both took a break last week, which was very much needed for some important integration for both of us. So welcome. Good evening, my friend.
Hi, Chastity. Yeah, it's been quite a week, and so much has happened this last week, just in around me here because of the disruptions with electricity and internet and so on. But it's overall, I can't complain. It just made me aware of how we get so used to things working that when they don't work, it's quite annoying.
It is quite annoying, isn't it? I was just saying my phone, I don't have the internet outages that you have in South Africa, or at least not yet. But we've had so many glitches. Like the screen will just start pixelating. The other day, it was shaking. So pictures were shaking and keyboards aren't working, just really random things like that.
Yeah, it's all part of what we're going through. The energies are changing, and they're changing for many reasons. But first of all, we're in an ascension cycle, and what that means is that we have the potential to go into a higher frequency of dimension. That's what a dimension is, just a change of frequency. And there is people talk about the solar flash and the event and so on, and a lot of people have asked me what exactly is that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's very difficult to describe because effectively it's just a part of the universal energy system that every 25,000 years the Earth receives a solar flash, which is like a reset button. It's like on your computer, if you do a system restore and you restore your system to the way it was before, it gets rid of all the things that shouldn't be there. And it works the same way. And people say, well, when is this solar flash going to be coming? And I say, well, they come all the time because they travel. It comes from the galactic central sun, which I was told is something like half 500 billion light years away. So you can imagine how much time it takes for it to come from the galactic central sun through our sun and to our planet. And it's like the heartbeat of the universe. It just keeps beating, and these beats reach Earth every 25,000 odd years. It's not always exactly 25,000 years, but it's approximately 25,000 years, because it comes through a long channel
Yeah.
through the galaxy, through the various star systems. It connects where it has to with other star systems, and it comes through our sun into our solar system. But when it's released from the sun, it'll be a couple of hours and it'll hit Earth. And at that stage, there's going to be a reset. But so what we're doing now is basically a preparation for that. And in 2014, I was told that we have to get rid of the fallen angelics on this planet, those little demons around masquerading as humans on our planet. And in May last year, I had my last, long conversation with my higher self, and he said that we're going to go through a period of time that is going to be a bit unpleasant. And by then, we knew about COVID, and he'd explained to me what this whole strategy was behind this vaccine. But he said that the alliance was allowing it, and they were allowing the theft of the US election from Donald Trump. He was aware that it was going to turn out that way before it actually happened. And they were allowing all this because they're gathering information, because they have to bring to court. There will be a class action by all those who've been harmed by this whole lockdown, masking, vaccine, and all the people who've harmed will join in this class action. They'll be invited to join the class action, but not everyone will. But it's going to be the biggest class action there's ever been. The Nuremberg trial will be nothing compared to what's coming. And eventually, the white hats on the planet are collecting all the information, collecting all the evidence, but it's a long process. We know that Dr. Reimar Vollmink is a German lawyer, and he is working with a team collecting evidence to take the World Health Organization and other players to court as well, also in a class action. So that's going to be the culmination of this whole thing. But in the meantime, it's really because the cabal globalists here know what's coming, and they're trying to avoid it.
Yeah.
That's why they are getting so desperate, and coming out with irrational behaviors and irrational commands and demands from humans that are really everyone's kind of scratching their heads and saying, what is going on? Because how did this whole thing happen? Why? How did all the countries in the world suddenly lockstep lock down these societies?
Yeah.
And they all played out the same playbook? How does that happen? So people were a little stunned by all of that and what's followed since. But it's necessary in order for allow them to take the bait from the trap, as it were, because that's what's happened. The trap's been laid for them to play into, and they've taken the bait and they're nibbling at the bait, but they haven't been caught at the trap yet. So it's a little game that's being played, but over time, and it's going to take a long time, it's likely to be only in late 2022 where we will see some big changes happening on the planet.
Yeah.
But a lot has to happen behind the scenes before that can happen.
Well, and it's interesting because people are, in the meantime, getting impatient, and then we're watching our loved ones make choices that we wouldn't make for ourselves, and we certainly wouldn't make choices for our loved ones that are going blindly into this. And it's a spiritual battle. This is a spiritual battle, and when we really go within inside ourselves and we understand who we are, and we understand what this is about, this didn't just happen in 2 years. Sure, the lockstep plan happened in 2 years, but the way that I understand it, when I do any remote viewing or also listening to some of our other spiritual leaders talk about this, is they've had to push their plans. They're doing everything quickly now, which is why things are getting tripped up, because the level of intervention that's happened. We had the solar rishi come here, which we did not expect to come here, and here they are. So these galactic families have been a massive help and support in what's going on, and being able to intervene on this level in the other in our spiritual, what is it called? It's exopolitical. It's an exopolitical agenda, and how we put all of these pieces together. And you're saying late 2022. What I'm seeing, and that in early 2022 we're going to see the set of, like, I feel like this is going to kind of be like March. Like, the idea of March is when this heavy pressure of what we're experiencing now, like really getting the rats out of the sewer and being able to see who these guys are, which we're starting to see now. Do you think that, like, by early 2022, like by March, we're going to see that, and then it's going to kind of set the course for what happens next? And is that in alignment with the sun frequencies coming to planet?
Yeah. How it works is we are like a field of a magnetic field, and the magnetic field attracts the solar flare because it's an electrical field. Electric carries information. So this information is coming through it comes through light waves. Now, people say, how does information get carried on light waves? If you know how fiber optics work, that's what they do. They push through a stream of light that holds a certain code within that stream that can be interpreted on the other side. So information is carried by light. I know it's difficult for people to conceptualize that, but that's actually how it works. And we are the attractors, so we are creating a magnetic field around in our societies on the earth, as it were. In the ley lines of earth, we're creating this magnetic field. And as more people wake up, they then become a connecting point between various energy on the planet. And once they get into a mindset of being loving, kind, respectful, joyful, appreciative, this connects with the whole planetary grids, because that's what runs in the planetary grids. We don't realize that the earth grids are like an information highway, like the cell phone systems. One tower connects to the other tower. Well, we the towers in the system.
Yes.
And the trees are the towers, and the plants are the towers. Everything that is a sentient soul being is a tower. In other words, it is able to receive and transmit energy. But we have the ability to willfully use our abilities to change the energy and to push it into the Earth's grids and push it out. So it's important that people learn how to do that and begin to feel energy coming through them and pushing it down and then pushing it out.
Yes.
So we create this continuous stream. Well, the Earth's ley lines have been secured because they were distorted and disrupted by the fallen ones 27,000 years ago when they tilted the Earth at 23.4 degrees to its normal north-south alignment. So the Earth's revolutionary tilt is the Earth's tilted at an angle, it spins at an angle, whereas its magnetic fields are still retain their north-south alignment. And that's how compasses used to work. People went to magnetic north and not,
not true north.
Not true north, as they call it true north, which is not really true north. It's an anomaly.
It is very curious to me, and that's part of what I teach in shielding. Is when we're shielding, we bring our Merkabas, and I think you have quite a bit of information on this in your writings, but bringing the Merkabas to a true north-south alignment. And so the more people that understand the energy body, the more we shift into proper north-south alignment and align to proper north, which actually, you guys, moves the planet. So when we move and we are capable of shifting our energy fields like this, we will create the proper trajectory for planet Earth to move through the system. And these grids, when we it's not just our hearts. What's been awakening and what's happened is, there's rescue missions happening for old timelines. And so we've been awakening body parts and integrating those. So the high heart right up here, your thymus gland, it's really sensitive for people here. This is a really sensitive area. And this is beginning to open up. And this is where we're all connecting to create that grid system. So this is the actual heart resonance.
Yeah, as you say, the thymus gland is very important because the pineal gland works with light and sound, and the thymus works with sound. Now, light is electric and sound is magnetic. So the emotions we express through the heart come out of the thymus gland.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how we interact emotionally, magnetically with the universe, and electrically through and information comes through the pineal gland. Yeah, so we magnificent beings, when it comes to our soul anatomy. We have this complex physical anatomy, but every part of that complex physical anatomy has a I was going to say consequent, but it's not. It's the soul structure that results in a consequential physical body. So it's the information in the soul that creates the body.
Yes.
The body is actually an illusion. It's part of the holographic reality, and holograms are just fields of experience for us to experience ourselves as consciousness and experience our creative ability.
I like to use the fallen ones terms. We're like our own blue beam technology. We've manifested ourselves into a reality, which is really quite. It's quite amazing. It's and mind bending, and it can be mind warping, and because we're moving in an unprecedented speed, I believe it's unprecedented rate of information coming in. It is causing some schisms in people's brains. So, we are seeing, and this is outside of the jab. And we can talk about that too, but outside of the jab, just the information that is coming in is a whole lot for people to process. And it does cause a type of schizoid behavior. And it's so important to clear a lot of people, it's different things, a shadow body, a negative ego, pain body, whatever you want to call it. It's really, really important to clear that and understand how to clear that, because it's making a huge, it's creating a huge impact in how people are able to take in these light codes and this information, and how they're balancing the electromagnetic frequencies that are coming into the body. We're going to that heart brain, like you said. The pineal gland is, you said it's the light, and then this is the sound. And how these work together is it creates what we call a heart-brain communication. Instead of thinking with our mind, we're going to be thinking with our heart, but it creates an infinity loop of processing. It's a whole new way of thinking, and it's really challenging to get there.
Yeah, it is. And the secret is raising your standards and not accepting the old standards that lying is acceptable, cheating is acceptable, not paying your bills is acceptable, being lazy and not doing your job properly is acceptable. We have to raise those standards, because when you are thinking that way, your feelings will follow your thoughts. But if you raise your thinking and your standards, you raise your ability to feel differently about the things you do.
Yes.
And that feeling, emotion that's emitted from your thymus is part of the loop. So it goes from the thymus out into the universe, then comes back into the pineal gland, goes out the back, comes back through the back of your body, through your thymus gland, and it forms a kind of a loop. And that's the heart-brain loop that you were talking about. And because electric is always attracted by magnetic. So it's like when there's a lightning storm, the electric lightning comes down and it's attracted to something that is magnetic in Earth, and that's where it comes in. So we have that kind of energy loop going through us, and people just have difficulty understanding the connection between electric and thought, and magnetic and emotion. In the universe, everything is about electromagnetic, but it manifests in our reality as thought. It manifests in our reality as emotion, as feelings. And so they're not that difficult to understand if you understand the manifestation of your electric fields is information, and the manifestation of your magnetic fields is emotion. I don't know if that explains that very. It's difficult to understand. I had great difficulty understanding that, but once I got it, it was great.
It's like riding a bike. Once you get it, you never forget. It feels a certain way in the body too. So it resonates completely different than just normal three-dimensional processing.
Yeah. And I went through a lot, because I started my journey in 2003, when they were still talking about an ascension through the stargates. And they were doing all kinds of things to activate the stargates. But the stargates mainly were held by the fallen angelics here. And the trouble is, many of them have been damaged, or their Q sites have been damaged. There was also the halls of Amenti that had to be anchored onto the Earth's template in 2003, which was done by a group of people on the island of Paxos. I was amongst those people. And we anchored the halls of Amenti into the Earth's template. But unfortunately, the fallen ones attacked the halls and took them back again. Then there was talk about going doing an ascension through the parallel light and sound fields, but then the parallel light and sound fields were tampered with by the fallen ones. So this whole battle between our soul families and the fallen ones here is a long battle. It's been going on for years. So it's very difficult to put things into a linear timeline because our soul families will do something and then the fallen ones will thwart it. And then soul families will do something and the fallen ones here will sabotage it. So it's been this whole system, and we're in it now, and where our soul families, together with the Earth Alliance, are collecting this information. But it's very difficult to predict exactly what's going to happen. So when I don't generally predict things because it's a very dynamic situation and it depends on many, many different criteria. But I can see a pattern emerging, and that's how I understand energy. Energy creates patterns. Like a pattern might be an algorithm. And once an algorithm starts and there's a certain amount of repetition in the algorithm, you can say, well, that algorithm's got life and it's going to happen. And then you can follow the algorithm and at that pattern that it's following. And I see that pattern developing where we've been, we were going to go through the stargates. Then the stargates were taken down. And then they decided in 2012 that what they were going to attempt, because it's never been done before in the universe, was an entire planetary ascension. Now, what that means is all sentient beings go through an soul evolutionary process, and it just happens that at this time the Earth is due for an ascension into a higher dimension, so what they're attempting to do is to ascend us on Earth together with Earth into a higher dimension. But they have to settle a whole lot of scores, and they have to do a very big balancing act on the planet. And because you can't ascend Mother Earth with a whole lot of miasms and distortions and corruptions, because it just won't work. So it's like sweeping your house before the king. Before the king arrives, you have to get your house clean. So in a sense, that's what we're doing. We're sweeping the earth clean. And in order to do that and do it legitimately and in a way that people can understand and accept and love and be grateful for, and it will raise their spirits and raise their frequencies, is to go through this process that we're going through now, where we, in a sense, are being persecuted and dishonored by our governments. And it's making people realize that governments are corrupt institutions. And, thank goodness we won't be having them very much more once we've ascended. We won't have this stupid system.
That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for that to just be done. Done.
Yeah, but I would encourage people to start thinking about the new Earth and what they would like to see happen. Because when we ascend, we will all be assigned a guardian who will be our kind of mentor and help us to go through this. And they will give us advice, and they will help us to gain an understanding of what it means to live in the fifth dimension, because it's totally different from Earth. And in the new Earth, without the fallen angels, it's going to be totally different, because everything here is corrupt. Everything here is a lie. I can't think of anything that I was told by the institutions and by the system that I found to be true. Nothing is true. So we will have to go through a whole relearning process to learn who we are, what we're doing here, what our purpose is, who are all these people, where are we going to, where do we want to go to, how do we want our to live our lives? How do we want to manifest for ourselves? So there's a whole big learning cycle, and all of that will be happening sometime prior to the event. And then once the event happens, then we'll go into what is called the, the Ascension Process, where you first have to pass through the void. And in the void is like a passport control. You go through an examination of a life review, as it were, where you have to, life is reviewed, and then you have to discard certain things. And, it's a process that one goes through. And so learning to love yourself now is going to help you through that process.
Yeah, I agree. What is your thought on, there's been, even if we go back to an ancient like Mayan civilization where like whole cities just disappeared. I know this happened in North Korea recently. A city just disappeared. And so some people are saying that this is part of an ascension, and that maybe, that they're just taking groups at a time. Some people in dream time, which is real time, are learning the histories already to be able to bring these into manifestation, to be able to share the true histories. So we're getting our downloads and our memories back, our cellular memories, to be able to bring this forward. But what do you see it like? Do you see like, are people really, there are people that are saying that they're getting information that literally humanity is there's going to be a group, like massive groups of people that are going to disappear. Do you see it this way? And how do you see that? And then who helps the people that, I get a little mind bent here, where it's like there's a 5D consciousness. We already know this. There's no mind bending there. But they talk about some groups who can't handle polarity or couldn't do polarity, so they're going to be taken somewhere for a re-education process of no polarity. But then you have a whole nother group that's saying everyone's going to be in this consciousness where there's no polarity, which is confusing to me, because for soul growth, we want and need polarity. We need to know how to integrate that. And part of getting our wings, so to speak, is about mastering that union. So what is your take on that, Colin?
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to disappear, but an ascension process has several stages to it. And one of them is called the first fruits of the harvest. That's what Jesus talked about in Matthew. And so the first fruits took place when Jesus ascended into heaven. He took a whole bunch of people with him. History records some of that, but it's mostly been hidden from us. And then there's the first fruits, and then you get the harvest, where the wheat is harvested, and then you get the separation of the wheat from the chaff. And when the fruit is ready, then that goes to market. That's good. And so, in a sense, that analogy was used or parable was used by Jesus to explain the ascension. So now imagine the first fruits has happened. We're in the growth and development of the fruit, and now we're in the process of the threshing floor, where the fruit is being harvested and separated from the chaff. And once that has taken place, then we'll go through another ascension. So in the meantime, all of these people are ascending. So an ascension isn't just boom, you've gone. You slowly integrate the 5D consciousness, and people are doing that already. I can see it. People are talking to, they're waking up, and suddenly they've been aware of things and they've never were aware of before, and they're seeing things quite differently. And so, in a sense, they are going through the ascension already, but they haven't quite got there yet.
Yeah.
But I don't think people are going to disappear from the planet.
Thank you for that. Because, there are people saying, oh, I just want to get out of here. I just can't wait for the ascension and to get out of here. And I'm like, well, hurry up and do your homework then. Allow yourself to anchor in. It
Yeah,
feels like, yeah, it's definitely. And this is, when we talk about an ascension and bringing in that awareness and bringing the soul, the spirit, and these higher dimensions into the body, into the physicality, we actually change. We change physically. We change the way we eat. We change the way we think. Our skin looks and feels different. Our eyes might change colors. This is what the ascension process is. And then we have the ability to stay at that consciousness or to come back down to a 3D reality. We
yeah,
get to move. We get to go on this sliding scale. So that is the ascension. That is how this works. Not that a big spaceship is going to come over, and not that they won't come or that they aren't there, but it's not going to come over and beam everybody up, and then we're going to, disappear. That's how I see it. So I thank you for explaining that, because people are like, I just want out of here. I just want out of here. And I'm like, be careful what you ask for. That next piece, that next grape you eat might be the one that takes you out,
yeah. There was a movie called, I think it was called Gone,
Mm.
where people experience young children just disappearing off the planet. And I don't think it's going to be anything like that. The Bible calls it the rapture.
Yeah.
And that has created a lot of, argument over the years when it's going to happen. It's a pre-trip rapture or post-trip rapture. And, they go through all these doctrinal theories really about the rapture. But in a sense, why I say nobody's going to disappear is we are just consciousness that is manifest. And the old consciousness of the old person, after we've gone into this consciousness, this conscious being has gone into the fifth dimension, the body of the conscious being will still be here because they will be in what is called an energy imprint, okay? Because the way timelines works and dimensions work, that all time is simultaneous and all space is in the same space. And there are 1,728 different timelines of possibility. So we can be in dimensions 1, 2, and 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8, and 9, all at the same time.
Yes. And you can actually be aware of this. You can be aware of this.
Yeah, and once we in the fifth dimension, we will be able to see ourselves here on Earth in the first, second, and third dimension. So, in a sense, we will bilocate, but when our memories are restored, we will realize that we have parts of ourselves in many different stations of consciousness in the universe.
Yes.
We live a fairly simple, linear type lifestyle here, and our thinking tends to be very linear, whereas one has to think more laterally in order to understand this stuff.
Mm-hmm. Let go and breathe and allow. Yeah, I find it also interesting that we were supposed to be able to ascend through stargates, and our bodies can't do that right now. So that's, been part of the problem. And then it's my understanding that we have gotten control of some stargates again, which is good. Halls of Amenti are under control now. We're good there. So that's nice. And some wards have been brought down. And I mean, even though it looks really ugly right here, looking at the underbelly and seeing all of this is really, this is really a good thing. Looking at the underbelly is a good thing, what we're experiencing, because what we're seeing in the areas of, in the timelines and in other dimensions, is it's being dramatically cleaned up. And, to use your phrase of, getting the house ready for the king, boy, we certainly have been doing that. And we've been doing that lifetime after lifetime. And it's like, we're at the air freshener stage, right? We're like spritzing stuff up, pressing the linens, kind of a thing.
Clear the airwaves.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. My goodness. My goodness. Lots of.
So I want people to be encouraged, because although things seem, discordant and randomized, the our soul families and the Earth Alliance are very much aware of the agenda and the plans of the cabal here.
Mhm.
They don't want to have another war, because so what they are going to do is they're going to do more of a soft approach, and the soft approach includes gathering a large amount of evidence and information that can be used in a earth court of law, in a class action lawsuit against all these people. And it's already started. I know I read today about this, the Indian Bar Association has launched a murder charge against one of their own in India, who was responsible for developing the AstraZeneca vaccination together with Bill Gates. And many people have died from that. So the Indian Bar Association, which is a legal body, have launched they want to bring this gentleman, I can't remember his name, is Vami Rancha, I think, Dr. something Vami Rancha, or no, Vami Nathan, and Nathan Yara, Rami Nathan, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But anyway, and Bill Gates was named as a co-accused, because both of them actually invested a huge amount of money in developing the AstraZeneca vaccine for the Indian government through one of their government agencies, similar to the CDC. They've just got a different name for it. They call it the Indian Serum Institution. And so, it's going to be a process. You're going to see a large number of lawsuits being taken out against these people. They're going to get very nervous. But everyone wants to see people arrested and put behind bars. But that's not really going to solve the problem, because once you put people behind bars, they get lawyers, you get lawyers, you all fight about what's going to happen. You've got a judicial system that's corrupt, and you get lead prosecutors who are actually members of secret organizations. They're pedophiles, satanists, and so trying to get things done through a legal court is not going to work.
No, we got to get those guys out first.
Yeah. So we gather all this information, develop a class action, which we take to the International Court of Justice in The Hague. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be like a Nuremberg trial.
Yeah. I'm really excited to see how all of that plays out. I know there's a lot. I'm going to do a podcast here pretty soon. I'd love to have you on for that sometime. It's going to be about how to fill out an NOL, a notice of liability. So for people to start, it's really up to the people. And if if all of a sudden you're interested in politics and what's going on, you're interested for a reason, because Maybe it's your job to know what a notice of liability is. Maybe it's your job to be able to hand packets of paper out and show them how to fill them out, and really begin to understand what common law is really all about, and how we the people stand up and fight for humanity, fight for sovereignty. Because without sovereignty, we are nothing, and they will continue to just they'll steamroll us, because that's
Yeah.
what they've been doing for thousands of years.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's a process, right? During this process, some of the people who have been guilty of, you know, bad acts in the past will repent, and they'll ask for forgiveness, and they'll cooperate with the court, with the judicial system that's developed, especially for them, and that will come a time where humanity's got to become their ascended selves and say what's important, to hold people to account or to punish them, you know. And it's about accountability rather than a punishment. I don't believe in punishing, people. It's not the right thing to do. Let them their punishment is their guilt,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
There's an evolutionary law of edict. So a lot of people that are possessed or not human, these kinds of people are going to be taken care of in a different fashion. Most of humanity is able to rehabilitate and will actually choose rehabilitation. But obviously, beings that fall under the evolutionary law of edict do not want rehabilitation. They've been offered it many, many times. So that'll be, taken care of in a completely different fashion. How do you see that? How do you explain how that's happening, Colin?
Yeah, it's you take guys like Enoch and Thoth, they're both higher dimensional beings come into who have fallen and then recovered and then fallen and recovered and then fallen and recovered over many millennia, thousands of years. And it's very difficult to find out where these people stand, because a lot of the people who say, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I'll be a good boy from now on. You never know if they're going to carry out that wish. So one will have to be very discerning about the hearts of those people. Do they mean what they say? And we won't be able to discern that very easily, but our higher selves will be able to. And I think by that stage they will be present here in physical form, because there will be a disclosure with this whole process as well.
Yeah.
Disclosure of beings.
Anyone who knows a little bit about demonology and these gestalts or these consciousnesses, you can see who's embodying what consciousness, what big players are imbued with these energies and essences. It's quite disgusting, but
Yeah.
it's I find it disgusting. However, it's quite remarkable at the same time. I'm just like, wow. And it's just, it's crazy to me how cunning and intelligent, just everything, that comes with these beings, what they're capable of, and the language that they use. And every word out of their mouth is like a magic spell, right? So
Yeah, and they're sovereign beings, and we sovereign beings. Part of being sovereign is allowing other people to be sovereign. And if we want to be sovereign, we have to recognize that we can't create the standards for other people. They must live up to their own standards. And if they are living up to their standards or higher than their standards, then we should welcome that, even if they have low standards. That's why I've learned not to judge other people, because I understand that in order for me to be sovereign, I have to allow other people the right to make mistakes. So if they're not doing things right, or they're making mistakes, and they're saying wrong things, it's not for me to judge them. It's for them to judge themselves, you know. And that's one of the things that people are going to discover when they get into the fifth dimension. We don't judge other people. We judge only ourselves. We are the sole arbiters of our own thoughts, um, words, actions, and deeds, and we establish our own standards and values. You know, having a set of values and standards that everyone must comply with is, in my view, quite crazy. It's a crazy notion because people are all different. But if you can teach people how to set standards for themselves and teach them how to live up to their own standards, if they have a certain standard, when we bring up our children, we should teach them how to develop standards of their own. Do you think that's right for you? And allow them a full expression of themselves in society, because what might be right for you at a point in time might be wrong for somebody else. And what might be wrong for somebody else at a point in time might be right for you. And we've all had these crazy experiences where I did some really stupid things, but I had to honor my sovereignty, that I have to allow the fact that I can be very stupid sometimes.
Yeah, I've done some very stupid things too. So, but being able to go back and look at it, honor what it is at the time, and not just stupid things, really honoring also witnessing past events, these kinds of things. This is how we clear the shadow body, the pain body. It's going back and witnessing and looking at it without judgment. So we replace judgment with discernment. And I know with my littles, it was always, if they were fighting, which siblings do or whatever, it's, are you adding value to the situation, or how can you add value to this situation? Starting with the little, starting with our children, I suppose, but treating yourself as a child as well, learning how to be a parent to yourself, and stop blaming your parents for the wrongdoings of your life and why you are the way you are. That's a really great place to start.
Yes, that is very good advice. Yeah, we often, blame our parents. And I remember in high school, one of our teachers told us that we are products of our environment. He was our English teacher, and so he taught a bit of philosophy as well. He liked to philosophize. And he said, "Oh, we are products of our environment, and whatever you experience in your environment is going to be the outcomes." And then he put together this: your parents, and then your siblings, and the community, as if you don't have a choice not to be a product of your environment. That's a scary thing. We were told that we are product of the environment. But when I sat down and I realized, hang on, I don't have to be a product of my environment. I can make a different choice. I can make a new choice and be a product of who I would like to be, and not who I think I should be because of other people.
I love that. That is the most powerful realization that we have to create change within our lives.
Yeah. And we play a stupid game on this planet. It's called the blame game.
Mm-hmm.
When no one takes responsibility, and everybody's got an excuse for something, and they can't accept responsibility for wrongdoing. And that's massively stupid.
It is.
Because if you can't take responsibility for wrongdoing, what can you take responsibility for?
Mm-hmm.
And so we all have to take responsibility for our own wrongdoing, and it's okay to take responsibility, because there's no punishment.
Mm-hmm.
The only one who's going to punish us is ourselves. Like we're punishing ourselves now. We put ourselves into this prison, and we think that the guys out there are doing stuff to us, and it's their fault. It's not their fault. They're just telling us what they would like us to do, and we complicitly agree to do what they tell us to do.
You
So it's we are the ones who are actually making the choice.
Mm-hmm. You would not believe we're watching in real time the work that they have done with these lockdowns and with their critical race theory, with the divide and conquer. It has been so successful. I have never seen so much racism in the schools out here, and kids being attacked. I literally, I've never seen this type of segregation and this type of these type of issues. So on one hand, it's like, yes, these things are happening, but why are they happening? It's because you're letting them in. It's because you're taking the narrative. It's because you're biting. You're acting as if you're not a sovereign being, and you're allowing a narrative to take over your entire construct. And he who controls the mind controls the soul, and this is what's happening with this ascension and this awakening process. Souls are harder and harder to control, because the soul is waking up, which means the mind goes to sleep, and they control us through the mind. And so once the mind wakes up, that means your soul has embodied. At least that's how I see it. And so they're starting to lose it, and so they have to crank up the frequencies that they push out into planet. And so what is something that somebody can do, because they, even with the words of these new variants that they're spreading, these words are frequencies that they're choosing, and they mess up our frequency field. So my theory is, don't say the names of the variants out loud, because it's going to do something to your personal frequency field with the vibrations that they put in it. But what can people do to, aside from the standards, people, aside from aligning your standards and your emotions and all of these things, what is something people can do to help their frequency, like energetically? Let's say they don't know how to, let's say they don't know how to yet control their own mind, and they don't know how yet to put their emotions and thoughts in alignment. Is there something that they can say or do to just help stabilize them? Like I'm not saying take a Prozac, but you know how somebody would have to take a medicine to try to stabilize before they could focus? Like, can they put a crystal or drink a certain kind of water, like anything that people can do to help balance them first?
Yeah, the way they're doing it is through what is called neuro-linguistic programming. And they are creating a narrative that is, at the moment, a division between the vaxxed and the unvaxxed. Now, what we have to do is look at the language there. Vaxxed and unvaxxed. You're unimaginative, you're unstable, all the uns that you read about. And now we are these negative uns. So we have to change the language and say, I'm not unvaccinated, I'm vaccination free.
Beautiful.
Change the language. What do they come with? You're a white supremacist. I say, well, what is a supremacist? Surely your language of supremacy assumes you have some sort of supremacist view that is you trying to push onto me, and I just don't accept that. Mm-hmm. I'm not a white supremacist, but neither are you a supremacist. Don't try to push your supremacy complex onto me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just looking at things differently and changing your mind about how you think, and not accepting the way people think. and cheer yourself up, and really it's just taking things lightly, laugh at yourself, laugh at the system, because it can't stand it. One thing that the fallen ones can't handle is laughter. They hate it when we laugh. And if they tell us something, we just laugh at them. Or if we say, I don't consent, there's nothing they can do.
Right.
It's because people give complicit consent to things that they get into these situations. Like you say, we have to take back our sovereignty and say, who are you to tell me what to do? I'm a sovereign being, but I will allow you to do what you want to do. So you allow me to do what I want to do. Yeah.
This is going to take a while, Colin. This is
Yep.
going to take a while, but that's okay. We have time.
Yeah. We have a bit of time. Till 2025.
We've got some time. We've got some time for re-education. And I think that, hunker down, you guys. Frequencies and vibrations are changing. That's by design, of course. It's some of the words they're using, more of the scripts that they're pushing out. Turn your effing TVs off. Stop listening to the news and go within. Now is as good a time as any to start something new. Pay attention to your heart. They're attacking the magnetic fields. They've been attacking the magnetic fields. So just think positive. With people who actually have heart issues, because I don't have a heart issue. And I was like, my heart was being squeezed and under pressure, and there are palpitations and all these kinds of things happening the past few days. So take care of you. Rest, rest, rest. And I think Kylan is, we're just about out of time here. So
I'll be watching my download speed monitor, and it's getting in the critical area. So
yeah, I can see it changing over here, but it's okay. We're at an hour, so we did good. And you guys check Kylan out at the writingsofkylanjoe.com. And we've only missed 2 Sundays. Last Sunday was one of them. We missed another Sunday before. We've been doing this a little over a year now. So we're here. Ask us questions. We're happy to answer them. And thank you so much for being here. I love our chats.
Bye, everybody. Much love to you and respect. See you next Sunday.
See you later, alligator.